models, because I've had mine now for over 12 months. Can I say no? Maybe 8 months, and they're still as good as they were when I first started using them. The only criticism I have is that the ends are starting to fray a little bit. You know, they don't seem to hold that point like they used to. But that's not a problem, because if I'm like dotting tops and stuff, I intend to put them on their side and use the side of the nib. I think they call it a nib, not a nipple, a nib. So, anyways, right. Positivity. Now, we are a current affairs. We are current as a live stream, and we do talk about things that are current. And I think a lot of people I've had a lot of messages as well, talking about Phil Flory's video on positivity. And he goes out there and does a video and says that he believes that there's a little bit too much negativity in the scale model hobby. And I do see where he's coming from. There is a lot of doom and gloom. You know, even today, somebody put a post up about Airfix, and he went on a rant saying, you know, how we don't all the tooling and stuff, and they released this hovercraft and they didn't do anything to the tooling, just released it to the wild. And I had a positive spin on that tooling, because I said that, you know, Airfix knew it was bad. They haven't released it in years. But there was enough people who asked for that hovercraft to be put back into the range, even as a vintage classic. And they warned you on the website that this kit will contain flash. And they never hid behind it. All right, I still say the price was a little bit rich for that kit. You know, when you buy the box, it's huge, and when you get in it, you know, to me, I call it the Walker's Crisp effect. You know, when you buy a packet of Walker's Crisp and you open it up, and it's like, well, there's all in it, like, you know, little smidgen at the bottom, kind of like that with that Airfix kit. But he went on about it, and you know, you're thinking to yourself, it's that negativity. I've been classed and called this Airfix fanboy and whatever for the last 4 years. But that's because I think that when I do a review of any kit, I will basically tell you what's in the kit. I show you the parts, I show you the errors. And if there's a problem with the kit, like with Airfix, you know, I honestly say in my last 5 vintage classics, 4 of them had a damaged part in them, or they've been roughly treated as a vintage classic, and I've had to go to Airfix. But my spin on that would be that it's still a good kit. You know, you get what you pay for. It's $9.99 or $12.99, and I don't defend Airfix with their quality control, but I know there's things in place that protect you as a buyer. So if you do have a problem with a particular kit, all it takes is 2 photographs, one of your receipt, one of the little sticker on the back, or maybe 3 actually, in the picture of the part that's broken or missing. Send them an email and they send it to you free of charge. And do you know what? They say give you 6 weeks. The amount of times it's come within 72 hours has been very, very good. And so it was, you know, because I tried to show a positive side of it. And at the end of my reviews, of any review, I chuck it back to you guys and I just say, what's your thought? Would you buy this kit? And if you do want to buy it, purchase it here. Jadlam, Airfix, wherever it's sold. And I do keep Airfix close to my heart, because I know that they are a small team, and all that's going on at the moment, forget all that, I'm talking about in the past. You know, there was that little bit in me that used to, I don't know, wink at some of the stuff that they've done, but then again, I've winked at stuff of what Revell have put out, you know, and I've winked at stuff that ICM and Tamiya have done, you know, so. But for me, positivity, and I think the actual crux of what Phil Floyd was saying is that if we're going to be a negative hobby, we're not going to be encouraging new people to come into the hobby, and we'll probably end up putting people off who are in the hobby already. And that's where I gained, you know, that's what I got from that video. We won't talk about the AR stuff because that's another topic altogether. But on the positivity, I do feel that sometimes there are rants and people are putting stuff on Facebook and on social media which is uncalled for, just because they've done a Spitfire Mark 5. Was it the Blenheim Mark 1 or whatever it was, and he should have done the Mark 5 or vice versa. You know, if you want something made, why do you think Airfix should always have to tool it? Why don't you speak to other companies and say, well, why aren't you doing this? You know, it always seems to come back to Airfix, that they should be the ones building the actual plane or tank that you really want to build. And I know what you're feeling, because I've been wanting a Bearcat from Airfix for 6 years, 7 years, 8 years. I'm not going to get one, am I? Yeah, take a drink, Celtic. I've said Bearcat now. But I know that there are. I bet there are companies out there that will probably end up building a Bearcat or manufacturing a decent Bearcat. So, but I'll put it out to everyone here. You know, everyone's thoughts on positivity and negativity in this hobby, and you know, have you got any thoughts on that? You know, put it out there. Go on inside. Put your hand up first.
I think Ian Thompson makes a good point. He's put that nothing wrong with the hovercraft. It just takes your modelling skills. If you've got modelling skills to do it, then any kit can be built, regardless of whether it's got flash on or not. If it's difficult with the instructions, you have to read them upside down, stand on your head. I mean, everything is to your sort of skill level. If you can't build a kit, you ask for help, or you just put it back in the box, go to something else, and tackle it later when you get better in your skills.
Yeah.
It's all being positive in yourself. If you give yourself negativity, what's the point in doing the hobby?
I get that. I do get that. Yeah. Oh, just quickly, we've had a super chat. Wow, we've had a super chat. I better play my new jingle for my super chat. Hey.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
So tonight we have a super chat because I've reviewed this kit from Airfix. I've bought got this, and I'm giving it away. And I was thinking of you, Luke, actually, on this one, because you asked me for Tucano, didn't you? Because you wanted to do this exact scheme, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's up for grabs tonight with the super chats. We'll pick one at the end of the show. Anyone else got any thoughts on positivity?
No.
Where do you start?
Yeah.
Okay. I did the Airfix tank transporter. It took me 3 attempts to get it right. You know, it's not a bad kit. It was just a bad builder. So I just did it again and again until I got it right. It was fun, even though I had to scrap the first 2. You learn from your mistakes.
Yeah,
fair
enough.
There you go.
But do you find there's positivity in the hobby yourself, then, Barry? You know, are you? Well, you're in North Devon Model Society. You've got one of the biggest modelling clubs in growing. In the amount of people you now have, you must be feeling the positivity from that happening every Saturday.
It's a great atmosphere. So I go up, even though they have meetings every Thursday, I go up once a fortnight. Yeah, and there's people there, sort of quite cheerful, of all ages, building models, and it's a great atmosphere because everyone's helping everyone else, and it's great. I'm a little bit solitary. But I go up to socialise more than anything else. But we still, swap hints, tips, whatever, buy and sell a few, give stuff away. Yeah, it's great. I love it. But as a model maker, I tend to be a bit solitary because I use enamels. Everyone else uses acrylics.
Jim, in the States, is there a positivity in the scale modeling community out there? I know I'm talking to a lot of Americans through Airfix and Chill. You know, you are crying in the wilderness because you don't actually have a manufacturer there, so to speak. But you've got like Round 2 that are produced, or what should I say? I've got toolings of old models. Can I say it that way, or am I being a bit wrong?
No. You're on. You're right on. As far as is it positivity about model manufacturers, what they're putting out? or the hobby in general. I think those are two entirely different things. And so when you talk about manufacturers, we don't get. I mean, we have Airfix over here, but it's just another manufacturer. It's not as big as it is over there. So, if somebody, it's hard to say because it's apples and oranges. Like you said, bunch of British podcasters, British YouTubers, British company. You come over here, we have podcasts, we have YouTube, but we don't have that American manufacturer to rail against or rail for, or anything like that. I think our strife and positivity and negativity is probably aimed at a whole different subsect within the society where it's not really modeling. It's not modeling. It's kind of modeling related, but it's a bigger animal and bigger picture. As far as I'll go out on a limb here and probably say, as people's philosophies as to what to do with conventions and contests and that whole can of worms. Yeah. That's where our strife comes from, or our positivity and negativity. But in a whole, I don't say I'm positive or negative. I guess I'm in the middle. Let's discuss. I'd rather have the truth. Let's have a discussion about something. And if it's positive, fine. If it's negative, fine. I mean, there's negative in the world. There's positive in the world. Just don't spin something that's not truthful to make it positive for the sake of being positive. That's kind of like change for the sake of change. Well, that's not always necessarily a great idea. When something that is working well, why change it for the sake of change? Change it because it needs changing to improve. So if any of that makes any sense, maybe it only makes sense in my life.
No, I think.
Go on, Zinni. Go on, carry on, Zinni.
I think I'll make just a couple of generalised comments to begin with, and the first one of those is that it is human nature. It's an evolutionary imperative, almost actually, that people are more disposed towards negative things than they are positive. Why is that? It's because if you keep an eye on what's negative around you, you're keeping an eye on the predators and the things that might do you harm. And this psychological aspect is used quite well by people in the news media and in other places, but also on YouTube. And we've heard it termed in many ways, but the one that I think people will be most familiar with is clickbait. Say something really negative about some thing that you're looking at. This was the worst kit I ever saw. I mean, something like that. I can give you an example from my own experience of a chap who put a comment on one of my videos once that said, I'm never watching your videos again. You're the most boring presenter I've ever come across. I mean, imagine that. Me. Say, I was so pleased. I pinned it to the top of the comments. But you get that. And it's very easy to be, shall we say, put down by that, or to feel put down by that. I think the best thing to do with those kind of things is to respond to them, and to respond to them as if it's a serious comment. They've made the effort to put, to talk to me. Well, I'm going to respond to you and do it that way. But I think the greatest majority of people in this, that we see, certainly that I see, have nice things to say to people, and present their thoughts in a very well constructed way, because they're doing the same things as we are, and I think that's these are the sort of the general comments I would make in relation to this whole thing. It is easy to be swamped by a small number of shall we say, negative comments from people, but I would say try to ignore them and try to carry on and concentrate on the good things that people have to say. And if commenters and creators are being derogatory about things, or making negative comments that you might construe as being clickbait, well, might be a good idea to just ignore them.
Exactly.
I think that's.
We've had quite. Go on. Go on.
Seriously.
That's it. We've just had a couple of comments I've starred here, but James Hetwell. Hi, James. Nice to meet you. People need to know the facts, not go away what they think or speculate. Whatever they talk about, seen a lot of that recently, but not on this channel. Some people need to do some homework. Thank you very much. I find there is a ridiculous amount of negativity about Airfix and modeling in general from UK channels. There's a lot of love for the likes of Revell in Europe. Yep, I understand that. And I think somebody down here said, where is it to? Here. I probably missed all this negativity lately besides the normal kit critique. Is this a UK thing? Well, it is incredibly annoying lately as all that AI gunk and vid productions, all the same style crap. Yeah, I get that. Ian Chambers, that's one of those examples where some people say it's a gold mine. Yes, for a small number of people, but you won't sell more than one batch. I'm presuming that's about the hovercraft. And Brian, good evening, Brian. I'm sick of YouTube channels talking nonsense about stuff they have no proof about Airfix, and I've stopped watching those channels as a result. The hobby is meant to be fun. Yeah, I get that as well. Good call on that. And Adam here says that well, Moz already knows my opinion on positivity in the hobby. It's half of our messages, exactly, because that's one of the things I'm trying to do: be positive. And if there are people out there, and I've said this on this channel, if you are struggling financially and you find that you can't afford a model kit, contact me. Contact Adam. We will find you a couple of model kits. We won't give you the paint, but we'll give you the model kits to give you a head start, and hopefully you will enjoy those kits, definitely, for sure. And we've had another super chat. Oh, this is good, isn't it? It's going to be fun tonight. I've got to play my super chat thing now. Where is it to? There it is.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
And that was from Stephen Hayes. Thank you, Stephen Hayes, for the super chat. Much appreciated, my friend. Much appreciated. And he's donated £1. Thank you very much. You're in the draw for the prize. Luke, have you got any thoughts on the positivity of scale modeling or the negativity, or any thoughts on that? And he smiles with a grin. Have I opened up a can here? A can of whoop ass.
Many thoughts. I mean, I think you have to. It was an echo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Hang on. No, there isn't now.
If I talk,
I haven't got one now.
Yeah, it's me, innit?
Yeah.
It's me.
You got two microphones on.
Yeah, it should be fine.
Yeah. That's better.
Is it?
No.
That's better. Yeah, carry on, Luke.
Yeah, I think. Oh, that's really annoying me. Hold on a minute. Let me check my microphone settings. There we go. It's gone now. So, okay. I think what Phil Flory and a couple of others are getting at is not necessarily negativity regarding certain manufacturers, certain kits, etc. What they're commenting on is negativity from certain content creators. And as Zinzan alluded to, what is commonly termed as clickbait. Now, and Zinzan hit the nail on the head. As a species, we have negativity bias that's built into us because it's a survival thing that's left over from evolution, really. So negativity will always do better with the algorithms than positivity, always. So there are certain content creators out there, we'll know who they are. I don't need to say who they are. We all know who they are, who lean on the negativity because they're so desperate for views, likes, subscribers, and all the rest of it, that they will lean on that and they'll put a stupid title on their video, they'll say stupid things, and they will be very negative because YouTube's algorithm will promote negativity.
Yeah.
As opposed to promoting positivity. And that's why they're doing it. Now, in relation to the whole itself, I think anyone that is brave enough or has enough testicular fortitude or whatever you want to call it to put themselves out there on social media, they are going to come in for criticism and for negativity. I've been a victim of it. I'm still a victim of it every day. It's just a thing. And what we need to bear in mind is a lot of people within this community spend a lot of time sat in front of a computer with no social life, no close personal relationships, no anything, and they spend a lot of time commenting, and this gives them a forum to be able to do it. Social media gives them the opportunity to be able to do it. These people would be very unlikely to say the same thing if they were stood next to the individual. They just wouldn't. And I've called a number of people out over the years and said, well, next time you see me at Telford in person, say that to me. It's never happened. But they're quite happy to be negative on the internet. And I think you've got two choices, really. You either let it wash over you, and it is what it is. Like Zinzon said, he pinned the comment to the top of the video, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The way I found it, so some things do need responding to. Some negativity does need responding to. I've only ever done it. I've received lots of negativity, which is great. But I've only ever really a handful of times that I've responded to it. And sometimes it does need responding to because it puts that whatever rumor or whatever untruth or whatever there. So there isn't but one of the best ways I think to deal with negativity is to just not respond at all. Because that's what they're trolls. These people are trolls. And what if you feed the troll with a response, that's what they want.
Yep.
There's one individual that we all know. What that individual likes is for a response and to get into an argument or debate. Regardless of subject, it doesn't matter. So the best way of dealing with that type of individual is just not to respond at all, because that drives them insane then. Because they're like, why will this person shout at me? You know, they like that drama. So just
affect them. Yeah. Don't suffer trolls, man.
Exactly. The hobby as a whole, I think, is overwhelmingly positive.
Yeah.
I think the positivity is there. You've only got to go to any show, any forum like this or club or whatever, and the positivity is there. But unfortunately, because of the way that humans respond to negativity, and therefore the way the algorithms respond to negativity, that will always be louder than the positive. It's like if you experience bad service from a company, you'll tell everybody. But if you receive a positive experience, you don't tell that many people. And it's the same thing, you know. It's just it's crept into the hobby. If someone is negative on a video, don't watch it. Or if they start being negative during a video, don't watch it. That's how I do it. There are many content creators that, looking at the names in the audience, I know that the people in the audience in the chat, they watch these certain content creators a lot. I don't, because like James Hepro said, a lot of opinion is presented as fact when it actually isn't. And the classic, and I said this to you earlier, Moz, the one I like the most, a friend of mine told me, bullshit, that's your opinion and you're just trying to get some sort of weight to it. So if it is your opinion, fine. Say, this is my opinion, this is what I think, and have the courage of. Don't say, a friend of mine told me. Shut up.
Yeah.
Who's your mate? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
It's
how
I think
how you engage with it.
I think the one poster I want to create for myself and pin to my wall is the quote you said about these argumentative sods that are on Facebook and YouTube. And you said this, it's like playing chess with a pigeon, and the pigeon knocks the pieces over and walks around shitting everywhere, thinking that he's won. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's an absolute
piece of shit all over the board and strut around like they've won anyway. So there's no point. There's no point playing chess with a pigeon. You know, it's pointless.
No. I'll have to remember that.
Yeah, a couple of points. Right. There's an expression which really regards newspapers. Bad news sells better than good. So that's why a lot of these sort of negative videos get the clicks. Secondly, I've done videos with a negative slant, but they're done in a comedic manner. They're all kit bash videos where I just rip the mick out of a particular kit, then I actually take a blowtorch to them. So it's done in a fun manner. So you can be negative, but in a comedic manner. But some of these other videos that I've seen, no, it's just ridiculous. It's clickbait, rage bait, call it what you will.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But as I said, I did when the Messerschmitt 109 came out, and there was a lot of negativity in that. I did a Substack post, and I shared my thoughts on the kit itself, but also on Airfix. And I said, you cannot tell me that. Unfortunately, this happened with Airfix, with the 109, and with the Stolly. But you go back, and I reeled out 9 different kits that they've released in the past 3 years. Sea King, Wessex, 2 helicopters, the Jaguar, the Gannet. Okay. I had a whole list of all the Spitfire, and the smaller Spitfires. I reeled out all these things, and I promise you, there was no issue with any of the tooling. What kind of happened was, if anybody had a problem, it was either a broken part, and we all know that the issue isn't the tool itself; it's just that the way they were packed. And I understand that is a quality control, but you can't tell me that all the recent kits, the Ferret Scout, the wasn't the Blenheim, it was the other one, wasn't it? Was it the Blenheim that came out? Oh, the British Army truck, the ambulance. Sorry, you can go through all these kits they've done, and they've been fantastic. Flip it on its head. The Meteor from Revell, bloody good kit. The Tractor, I know it's a click and switch and whatever, and it's stuck together. I get it. It's still a good kit. The car they brought out, really good kit. If you look at what ICM are doing as well, really good kits, interesting subjects. They haven't, all right, they retooled the Spitfires. That's what Airfix do, and the 124th Messerschmitt. But everything else they've done isn't, it's good subject matter. Who would have thought that Airfix would bring out a Stalwart, a Saracen, and a Ferret Scout? No one else has done it apart from the resin guys. And now we've got it. So there's positivity that they do listen. They do, up until now, they do listen, right? So, and I think, with Revell bringing out, and they went in big with that Meteor. What happened? Luke went in there and they said, we're going to bring out Meteor. And he said, you're doing the wrong one. You need to do this one because you can get more out of the tooling. That Stolly, I've seen the what's it called? The mock-ups, the test shots. That crane looks bloody brilliant. To be honest, if you don't like resin, hold out for that crane, that limber, the Stalwart coming out with the crane. It looks fantastic. It really does. They've really worked hard on that one. But I said there's positivity for me. Oh, the Lysander. Yeah, John, the Lysander. That's another one. You know, subject. Because I remember when I said to Nigel I phoned him up and I said, Airfix releasing a nice Lysander. He was overjoyed because that's a subject you don't think people would be interested in, but they've sold thousands of them. So they're on the ball. But my positive side of it is that you can't really say a kit's shit anymore. I do unboxing reviews of new kit. There's hardly anything wrong with it. I'm a hobby. That ME262, beautiful kit. Just got a photo etch in it. The bastards. They slipped that one in, didn't they? But as I said, you know, we joke about that. You know, that's. But that isn't a negativity. That's a personal preference. I'd rather have plastic than PE. And if I look on the chat now, people are saying the same. You know, I'd rather have flash than PE to deal with on a kit. Do you know what I mean? So, but I think really positively, it's absolutely spot on. We want for nothing. We got a chaffee coming out in June from Tamiya. Hooray! A decent chaffee. Who's been wanting a chaffee for the last 20 years? A decent one. No.
And I think, I think that comes down to, again, it comes down to people's approach and people's mindset to the hobby, to manufacturers, to products, to everything else. If you approach everything with a positive mindset, then you will have a positive experience. That's not to say that experience won't be without its trials and tribulations. But you will have an overwhelmingly positive experience. But if you approach it with a negative attitude, then the likelihood is you're going to have a negative experience. And the danger is with some of these individuals that use social media as a bit of a sounding board, they can create a negative attitude. And then people, you know, I don't like the term influencer because these individuals don't influence me one little bit. However, that's the common term. And if they are influencing people in a negative way, then they shouldn't really be doing that. There comes an element, you know, if you're at the sort of amount of subscribers that you are, Moss, for example, you know, you're 4,000 plus people looking at your stuff, you do have an element of responsibility.
Yeah, and I've always said that you've got to be, and also, dare I say it, I know I've mentioned it on my private chat when we talked about what was happening at Airfix when I announced about people leaving. There was no monetization on that Airfix and Chill. If you saw an advert there, that was not me. I turned off monetization because I felt that I couldn't make money out of somebody's misery. That's it, you know. And I felt.
There is an element of responsibility if people are listening to what you say or what you think. And one thing that's really, really common, and I've seen it time and time again over the years, is people in live streams, particularly on YouTube, who are giving medical advice to people who are watching. These people aren't fucking medics. Like, wind your neck in, because you could say so. You don't know who's listening. You don't know who's watching. So if you're prepared to give medical advice to even 10 people, if one of those people follows the advice that you've given because that's your opinion or your friend told you or whatever, then that's very, very dangerous. And I would implore anyone who's watching this either now or later on or next month, next year, whatever, if you're going to do anything about changes to medication or go and speak to a medical professional. Don't speak to some idiot who sat there with a webcam and an internet connection, because that's so dangerous. So dangerous. Go and speak to a medical professional before you do anything. That's all I've got to say about that.
The medical point is very wise, and there are certain people on the interweb on YouTube, for example, who are somewhat qualified to do this. But those people, without exception, have 3 or 4 million subscribers.
Yes.
And they are not dubious types of individual with a ponytail and a straggly beard and a cavalier attitude to personal hygiene that sit in their back.
Ring.
You know, they're not those kind of people. You know, they are credible, and you know, you can rely on what they say to some extent, but no substitute for going and sitting in front of your doctor and saying, absolutely, now look here, when I do this, it hurts. At which point he's going to say, well, stop doing that.
Yeah. That's it. We're doing it. It's like that's what happened with you, Zenny. You say you went to the doctor and you said it hurts here, here, and here. And you went, oh, you broke your finger. That's what you done, wasn't it?
And in common with the advice of one of my contributors, as I've said before, I was advised that I could turn this into an extra special pointer. So I did.
I want a laser on the end. But no, I think
you've just started something there.
But going back to it, you have a duty of care. You have a responsibility. It's like I did that paint stirrer thing, okay? And I did the review on it. I took a hit for the team. I bought it. All right, I bought 2 of them to test them. You know, and I am going to do a video about where I bought. You know, this. I found the advert now where they're 45 quid. The company is selling them for £45, and I was able to find one on eBay for £7. So I bought 2 and I did a review. And the one thing I didn't go into, and I'll tell you why I didn't, was I could have easily used IPA. I could have filled up that brush cleaner with IPA and then spun it to see if it would clean my brushes. The reason I didn't mention it, the reason I didn't even do it on camera, was because I had a little fear that somebody would try it as well. Now, I could have put all the warnings up saying, do not try this at home, because you're playing with electricity. A USB connector is throwing electricity in that motor, and I can assure you that little seal there will not be robust enough to handle IPA. So you're going to have a flammable liquid doing it. There's no point in doing things like that. It's called duty of care and responsibility. And that's why I didn't. I could have easily done it. Oh, let's try IPA in it, see if that works. No, I didn't. I tried it with water and with a cleaner, which is this one here, the Ultimate Air and Brush Cleaner, which I got from Making And I said, actually, the best way of cleaning your brushes is old school. Dip it in IPA or in your cleaner, and then just rub it on a bit of tissue or on a rubber silicone mat, and it will clean it off even quicker than that machine. That machine was going for 5 minutes, and it still didn't get the paint out. But people were saying, oh, can't you use IPA in it? So I've had to put in the comments, well, no, it's flammable. It's really flammable IPA, and you're playing with electronics. They don't mix. They really don't, you know.
Oh, come on, let's make it a little exciting.
Yeah, see, without, you know, my last video was me, my face, you know, I can imagine it blowing up, and I'll be there, like, you know, with a charred by the eyebrow here, like, you know, it wasn't me. They didn't tell me not to do it. So yeah, you've got a duty of care in what you say, and also there are people's livelihoods behind all this. And when I have done, and this is why I know people call me an Airfix fanboy, because I also know that one person may get a dodgy kit, but there'll be probably 30 or 40 others that haven't had the same problems that I've had.
And they don't
So a lot of it is a personal thing. What about you, Brett? Because as a shop owner, have you heard people come into the shop and you say, oh, I've got this Airfix kit here, and they say, oh, I've seen this video and I'm not going to buy that kit because of what I've seen, or anything like that in your shop?
Not with Airfix. We get a lot with Round 2. Round 2 over here gets the same kind of grief from car modelers that Airfix gets over there from you guys. You're
really
kit. You're missing a part. It's not accurate enough. Why didn't you do this one? Why didn't you do that one? So Round 2 gets all the same grief that Airfix gets, just because they're over here. Airfix, when we actually get them in, I've never had a complaint about an Airfix kit. Not a short shot, not a issue, not someone coming in saying, well, I hear this is crap. They're just happy to see an Airfix kit.
Yeah.
So, most our biggest problem with round two getting the exact same spiel that Airfix gets over there from car modelers. And like Jim was saying, we're stuck right now in the whole convention thing. How do you judge this? How do you judge that? IPMS sucks this way, something like that. And it just goes on and on.
Yeah,
That's
I
interesting.
get that.
Yeah, I've got a couple of round two kits, and they're very nice. But mind you, are we talking about older toolings? So I've got two. The 22-inch Space 1999 Eagle and a 12-inch Hawk. They're both very nice because they're new tools.
No, most of the science fiction stuff round two doesn't get in complaints. It's from car modelers who want to see this model car come back or that model car come back.
Yeah.
You retooled this part of the kit, but you didn't retool that part of the kit, and that was the problem. So it's newer ones, it's older ones. It's not all, because there are some amazing round two kits out there.
Yeah.
But it's generally like with you guys. Why did you release another Camaro when we wanted a Mustang?
I think that the negativity, well, certainly that I've seen over the years, particularly in the US, the negativity comes around, and you just hinted on it there, Brett, around contests and judging standards and how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that, etc., etc. And I think that can have a real negative impact on individuals and the way they enjoy their hobby. So I will die on the hill that if you win gold at an IPMS National or first place at an IPMS National, then you can walk on that contest with your head held high. Because on the day, it's been judged as better than thousands of other things that are on the table. That's what that means. So you can walk away with your head held high. Now, unfortunately, there's a lot of negativity around that, both probably more so in the US, but certainly in Europe as well, and in the UK.
Yeah.
So the danger is that negativity can impact on the individual that may walk away with a gold medal in 72nd scale aircraft or whatever. And that negativity can impact on them, or worse, the negativity can stop people entering the contest in the first place. And that's worse, because then that's at a detriment. Certainly in the US, where most shows are centered around the contest, slightly different here. We have a big display element, so people still get to see other people's work. But in the US, geographically or whatever, the contest is the thing. And if it puts people off putting their stuff on a table because of the negativity surrounding it, then that's a detriment to the hobby and a detriment to all of us, because we're not going to see that stuff. We're not going to see work. And that's got a negative impact. And I think the people who are bumping their gums about negativity and contests and things should wind their neck, really. If you don't want to play by the rules, don't enter the contest. Simple as that.
Yeah.
Jim knows about that. He was a judge.
Yeah, look at shit.
I just go on it, but I won't. It's really philosophical.
I think this is right on. I think we're pretty well off to have the luxury to complain about hobby stuff. Just my 2 cents to keep things in perspective.
Absolutely.
That's just, I think that's absolutely spot on. But yeah, I can see that, with round two. But then if being positive, I'm hoping that round two won't like shaft the money that they've been given from all these reboxes and use those profits to make new tooling. Because I think if that round two wants to survive, I think that's what they're going to have to do. And I think when I had a chat with the Glow 2B guys who've taken on Hella, they're actually spending quite a bit of money making sure that the old tooling is going to be good enough to put in the boxes. They know that the fit, well, you can't change the fit of a kit, but you can present a kit in a way that, you know, you don't have to do too much work to make it presentable. But the idea is to get these out, and then we can then use that money to make or tool new models. But the money for them, and I think round 2 will find this as well, if you're going to spend the money on the tooling, positive wise, you've got to spend the money on the research. You know, you're going to have to pay, you know, I think that was what Airfix did, was Insider, when they had to hire a 3D machine to scan everything 3D, but it was so expensive. So what they did, they went to a museum and scanned everything in that museum. They hired the machine out and did everything. I think it was Cosford they did it at. They went and scanned everything. So now they've got scans of every plane that's in Cosford. So, you know, and I think round 2 have to do this kind of thing, saying, you know, just don't think, oh, you've got this money, let's make a new tool in. You've got to put the research in as well and get the people on board who know what they're talking about and do it that way.
Again, a lot of it comes down to the approach of the individual modeler. So, for example, I'm currently building, it's on my bench currently, the 9th scale Italy Triumph, which is originally a 1972 Esky tooling.
Yeah.
Now, when you approach a build like that, if it's a vintage classic or an older tool, an older kit, whatever, you've got to approach it with a positive mindset. Now, every single bit on that kit requires cleanup. It requires test fitting. Then it requires test fit again. Then it requires a bit more cleanup. Then a bit of filling. Then a bit of sanding, etc. However, if you approach it with a positive mindset, I am confident at the end of that process, there will be a half decent replica in 9th scale of a Triumph 300W motorbike.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And this,
so if I'd approached it in a negative way, and like, I'm so sick of sanding every single piece. I'm so sick of injection pin marks here. I'm so sick of seam lines here. I'm so bored of it. And a negative mindset, then the thing will go back in the box after the first 3 steps.
Yeah.
You know, so it's down to mindset, and surround yourself. My advice would be surround yourself with positive people.
I think I do.
If you do that, then you develop a positive attitude towards the hobby.
Misery loves company.
And I can't give anyone life advice or anything, but life is no different. If you surround yourself with positive people that go out and get stuff done, you will naturally develop that mindset. If you surround yourself with negative people that do nothing but whinge or sit there in a cardigan moaning, then you're gonna develop that mindset. And then you just have negative experiences throughout the hobby, when actually there's nothing really negative about it. Go and buy this kit, because what it will teach you is how to sand, how to fill, how to clean up parts, and how to make them fit. And that's a positive, because you've learned a new skill. Go on, Gio.
Exactly.
So I'll go point counter. So I'll play a little bit of devil's advocate here. Holy crap! See, it's not 1971. Surrounding yourself by positive people, good. But do you want to surround yourself by yes people?
There's a difference.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, if you surround yourself by, and in this hobby, if you're striving to get better or learn or whatever, then you need to be able to hear people be negative. You know, there I go quoting air quotes again. God. Anyway, you know, it's you got to be able to take good with the bad. There's going to be negative. Negative is part of the real world. So if you're getting into this hobby and you start and you do a starter kit and you're like, hey, what do you think? And delivery, manners. You guys are supposed to be good at manners over there. We aren't. We're rude Americans. But it's an all in phraseology, how you use your words. Well, I think looks like a pile of dog. You know what? No, that's probably not the best choice of words. Well, okay. One, did you have fun? Two, do you want some pointers for next time on your next build? I see some things that maybe could be improved upon if you're interested in going down that road. It's on how you frame it, and so then sure, tell me, or you'll get well, no, I was completely happy with it, and I'm happy with the way it is, and then perfect, and then you have gone where you need to go as a model builder in your journey of model building. If you don't want to learn anymore, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but if you do, here's some other things. Other people will tell you other things too to build upon.
I think there's a very big difference and a very big divide between yes people and positive people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of yes people
don't go hand in hand.
Positive, but they're not really being positive. They're just
at all.
And you hear that a lot.
You can give critique in a very positive way.
Yeah. So here's the point. That's exactly the point. And Luke's hit it really. Those who don't want the best for you are probably not your friends. The sort of people that will give you positive feedback and help and those people exult in your success and they're genuinely pleased about it. Now the problem is that it's quite hard to tell the difference between these two sets of people a lot of the time.
Yes.
But once you recognize this, and it's difficult to do, I can't do it myself all the time. Once you recognize the difference, you can then say, okay, this individual doesn't want the best for me, doesn't want me to be successful in anything that I do. And guess what? What are we all trying to do when we make models? We're just trying to be competent.
Mm-hmm.
What we're trying to do, we're trying to be good at what we do. And one of the great lessons is don't disturb kids when they're skateboarding because they're trying to be competent too. So tell them when they're doing it right. Exalt at their successes. Let them know what you think in a way that is logical and well-founded. The thing about the internet and the people that operate on it, and I'll point this out, and it comes my experience from that original Qatari kit that came out, the Mark I Mid. There was some character in America who made this kit, and his last video got, I think, about 15,000 views, and he had about 400 subscribers or something like that. But he slated it, said it wasn't very good. And the people in modeling land, as I call it, actually are in general cleverer than they are stupid. And they recognize this for what it was, and they absolutely went for him. So these people are not stupid. Now, not everybody says these sort of things, but they bloody well think them. I'll bet you.
Yeah. Exactly.
So
that's where we as human beings will find something negative in a kit, but always take the positives with it. If it's one little part or one little bit, one decal that won't go on, you take the positives from the kit, and that's what you want to take with it when you go to clubs or shows. If somebody asks you about a kit, you go, well, yeah, there's this, and this, but leave them with a positive note. Don't leave them with a negative note, because they'll go off and go, well, that's no good. I can't buy it. I'm not getting that kit because he said it was this and that. But that's us. That's people will do as human beings. They will always have a free speech. You can't take that away from people.
No, exactly.
You can recognize who the genuine people are.
Exactly.
Pretty much. They're and we see an awful lot of them. Well, nearly all of them. I think all of them on here that come along and visit. All of the people, the other 8, the other 7 folks here. Don't listen to me. I'm just a knob. So just the other guys, listen to them. There are some really thoroughly decent people here, and they beget what they what they give out, and that's why that's why it is like it is.
I mean, going back to what Moz was saying, all the positive kits that have come out. I mean, the Spitfire, all what Airfix and other manufacturers have all released, which are brilliant kits in the box. But as a modeler, that modeler might not be able to build it. So he might be going, well, he might be swearing whatever, blind. Oh no, I can't put this together. I can't put that together. But that's his own. That's because he hasn't got the skills. And if he has a club, or he goes to a show, or he goes online, somebody might be able to give him that information or that advice to go, well, do this, do that, and he might go away and he'll build it, and he'll go, thank you very much. That advice was brilliant, and they move on to the next build.
I will say that, like I said, when like I go to a lot of model shows, and we'll sit there and you talk to other members of other clubs, and you'll see a kit that interests you, or a build that's interests you, and you ask them, how do you do this, and how did what was that kit like, and they'll always start with a positive and say, this one, the only thing I found difficult was the tracks, or trying to get that to meet here, little bit of filler. They always start with a positive, and that's what I think we need to aim for now, as a hobby, is to always make sure that the positive side of it is out there more and more. And I can't say, John, you've just gone. Oh, he's got a mouthful of food now while I'm asking. You were saying, I remember you. I think it was on your the Blitz builds. Is it from Das Work? You did a tank, and you did the video, but you showed up. There was bits there that you ended up having to sand back to make the part fit. Apart from that one, I don't think you've done a bad kit, or you've not had a painful kit to build in the last 4 or 5 years. You were telling, just little niggles that kind of you end up seeing when you're building, but that hasn't taken away from your experience of the build, has it?
It hasn't, because and somebody mentioned it earlier. Research. I try to do a good job of peeking, at these kits to see if there's a well-recognized issue. I do not have time for kits that have well-recognized issues that I need to work through. It's a hobby. I like to enjoy it. I'm
too short.
I want to enjoy the build, right? And so that's why that's why I have sort of good luck, is because I try to take the time ahead of time, what's a kit I want to do and what's a kit I don't want to do.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, it's very much so. Gota said, not a big fan of sanding and filling, so I'll buy my kit accordingly, but I do sometimes buy an Airfix Classic and adjust my mindset accordingly because I want to build that kit. Amen. Like I said, I've built nice Bearcats, I've built crap Bearcats, but I've built the Bearcats, and that's me. There's only one to build now, which is that 132nd one up there, which until I get that 124th Messerschmitt BF109 finish, I won't be touching. But
come on, Mars, I've got about 3 weeks left to finish mine. You need to be.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I've only got to put the decals on it. Yeah, but yeah, it is what it is. You know that some of these kits from the 70s, that the Revell Bearcat, that's a monogram kit, and the frog version, they're going to cause issues and tissues. But at the end of it, once you built it up, I don't think you could actually see where I filled it, or where the problems are. I think it was the Revell one I did, where you put it's a weird one. You put the wings together first, and then you slot the fuselage halves over the wings. It's the most bizarre thing, but to be honest with you, once you've done that, there is no wing root to fill in. Actually, even though it's a really crap kit, when you do that, and there is there's nothing to fill in around the wing root, because they're hit. maybe sometimes the old kits have a better way of putting things together. You know, you think about it, you go, oh, it's a bit weird, but actually you don't have to do any of the filling because it's all done for, you know, because it just slips on top. It's lovely, you know. But it's an inaccurate kit. The tail was wrong on it and everything, but it was good. So yeah,
it comes down to mindset, doesn't it? And how,
yeah.
I mean, it's probably Phil Flory that started this discussion with the video that he put out about negativity.
Yeah.
But if you look at some of the stuff he does, where he'll take a real old tooling and he will sand that thing smooth, he will rescribe it, he'll re-rivet it, he'll do all of that. But he knows that when he's at the start of that project, he knows that to get it to a level that he's happy with, he's gonna have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
The flip side of that coin is he also knows when he's putting together a Tamiya 48 F14, he's not going to have that issue. You know, so it's about mindset as you approach the build. And I think where it changes from advice, critique about a particular kit or whatever is where it becomes very, very personal. And Phil Flory alluded to that in his video, that he'd come under sort of personal attack, if you like, by I don't like, you're not a crap modeler, I don't like the way you do it. Like, okay, well, if you don't like it, you do better.
Yeah, right.
Or you do it the way you want to do it, because I'm pretty sure that someone that's made their living from building models for the last 2.5 decades doesn't really give two shits what you think.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because they've proven themselves time and time again. Some people don't like weathering. Some people do. Some people don't like the Spanish method. Some people do. It doesn't matter. But where it becomes personal, I think Nigel alluded to this in his May update, where he'd come under personal attack. You know, as an individual, as to oppose to the kit or the product or whatever. Well, would that individual say that to him if they were stood next to him? Probably not. Would that individual said to Zinzan that he's the most boring man he's ever had the misfortune to listen to? If he was stood next to him, no, he wouldn't. Or she.
Yeah. I'd have laughed at him anyway.
Yeah. Lox Nigel's made a point, actually, when it comes to negativity, because I've seen this a few times. You know, painting on the sprue is a no-no with some people. I don't care. And fair enough, yeah. I think painting on the sprue is definitely up and down. Definitely. You know, there's some parts you do paint on a sprue. There's some parts I don't.
Correct.
But at the end of the day, it's your model. You be positive on the way that you do it. Simple as.
Soft parts, tools. I paint them on the sprue.
But it's having the social awareness not to turn it personal. Don't get me wrong, I've turned it personal in the past. When I've been attacked as an individual online, I have quite happily told that individual what I think of them. And that's a personal thing. But I stand by it. I'd say if they were stood next to me, that individual wouldn't, probably. But so for you paint on the sprue. For me, it's a no-no. I never paint on the sprue, ever. Doesn't matter how small the piece is. I have your life. Say again.
I said you have to stop painting on the sprue, mate. It will change your life. It's an incredible thing to do.
It won't change my life.
Well, just quickly, then. Just very quickly.
I have the social awareness that I'm not going to send Simon's modeling shed a message or post online or on one of his videos and say, you're a complete knob. Why are you painting on the sprue? That's a complete no-no. Why are you doing it? You're doing it wrong. But who gives a shit what Simon's doing? If that's how he does things, that's how he does things. Who cares?
Yeah.
There's people out there that think and want to believe that they are authorities on this, that, and the other. And by God, if you don't do it their way, then you're doing it wrong, and you should have your head examined. Here's a perfect example. Let's toss this grenade out there. Everybody ready? Flossing before decals.
Oh
My God.
Go ahead,
Here
Jim.
we go. And it's stuff like
And on that bombshell, good night.
Play the music.
Flossing before decals. But heck, yes.
Somebody
It's
put a
wild.
super chat in.
I'm going to open my safe.
It's wild to see the consternation that like one or two topics within this hobby can cause, and to watch a bunch of predominantly middle-aged guys act like a bunch of teenage girls over a subject is it's just like you got to sit back and laugh. And I've said this. I remember making that comment to a friend of mine at the 2000 Nationals 26 years ago, based on stuff that was happening even a couple of years before that.
Yeah.
It's mind-boggling. But it's human nature, I suppose.
I glossed before I put decals on, and I got told that you don't need to because decals are a lot better now. And since I tried it once, I don't think there's many kits that I've glossed. I tell you, when I do gloss, is when I'm doing those homemade transfers that people print, and then the whole paper is completely, that transparent, the decal paper. I always gloss under that now because I've been bitten too many times not to. But when they've got, when it's all in register, the film's all register and everything. I tend not to gloss. But then, as I've said to many people, it's like about the tool cleaner, using that for cement. Don't worry, if you don't find it, if it doesn't work for you, so what? You go back to using your Tamiya Extra Thin or whatever glue you use. But me personally, after 2 years, maybe even 3 years of using airbrush cleaner to cement my parts together with, I find it better. Now, it could be placebo effect. I don't know, because it's cheaper. I don't know. But I'm not going to tell you to not use Tamiya Extra Thin if you think it works, or Revell Contactor. I won't tell you that. I'm just telling you what works for me. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. No one fucking died. That is it. And I get it all the time, and I do get it.
Why are there hundreds of brands of beers and wines and spirits and bourbons and tequilas and rums? Because everybody's tastes are different.
Yeah,
I heard one individual podcaster saying about judging should be it's like a wine contest, and that the judge knows, then that they know what a gold medal bottle is when they see it. Okay, but that's only his opinion, or their opinion, or her opinion. Okay, who's this? And when I thought it was an excellent way to describe it as far as a wine tasting contest. Well, the wine may taste different to you than me, or Barry, or Simon, or Luke. Just because we don't all have the exact same taste, so therefore I may like this X brand over here, but Luke may not, or John may not. So then how can you use that criteria? And then you go down that whole road. But it's just it at the end of the day, opinions are like, that we all have, is the saying goes. And to say my opinion is superior than your opinion, no, we all have opinions. Now, if you're going to use that in the construct of a contest, let's say, then yeah, okay, then we have different philosophies. Okay, you can go down your philosophical road, and I can go down my philosophical road. I can defend mine. I think the other side has a harder time defending theirs, but because it's more about personal opinion than it is fact, and I'm more big on facts than opinions. And one philosophy leans towards fact, and one leans towards opinion, and that's fine if that's what a group of people want to do.
I'm just going to. I think here you go. Here's one for you. There was a guy when I was at school. It was just in my GCSEs, and they were talking about the tongue, right? and they said, and the question was, do you eat bananas? Or do you like the taste of bananas? And everyone in the room but one didn't like a banana, didn't like the taste of banana. And he said, what does a banana taste like to you? And I said, well, it's sweet and it's mushy in there. And he said to the other person, what does that banana taste to you? And he said, oh, it's sour, bitter. And so he said, there you go. Your tongues are all different. And if you want the best example of that in this country is Marmite. You love it or you hate it.
Or
love it.
Or cilantro. Do you have cilantro? Yeah, I'm sure you've got to have cilantro over there, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's like a parsley, but it's more used in Spanish cooking and such. But over here, and Brett and John will have heard this. Either you like it or you hate it. And it's been proven medically that it's almost down to a genetic thing, because everybody that doesn't like it, they all say the same thing. It tastes like soap. Okay.
Yeah.
And I feel sorry for those people because I love cilantro. But there's other people that can't stand the taste because it's just, you know.
Yeah.
Do you like weeded bourbon or do you not like weeded bourbon? I'm kind of like. But there's people out there that love it. So it's the same thing. It's personal choice, taste, and opinion are different than X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You know, based on fact.
I think, and I think you've hit the nail on the head there, Jimmy. There are some individuals out there within the hobby. We're talking about within the hobby that, for whatever reason, they think they are the authority. Yeah. They if you're not doing it their way, you're doing it wrong. You cannot do this hobby wrong. You can't do it wrong. If you're enjoying what you're doing, whether that's painting on the sprue, glossing before decals, whatever it is, and someone else isn't, neither one is doing it right or wrong. If they're enjoying what they're doing it right. There is no right or wrong way to build a plastic model. There is no right or wrong way. Now, you could argue the likes of Night Shift, the likes of Plasmo are producing phenomenal work. And a lot of people learn from watching their videos and try techniques and stuff. But would you see Night Shift build
missed a bit of that?
Yeah.
But would you see Night Shift build a 24 scale shiny car?
No,
probably not.
Or a 12 scale shiny bike, or a 12 scale model factory hero kit, or probably not.
He doesn't like doing them.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not his jam.
Exactly that.
Exactly.
So it's a very personal thing. You know, I would argue that there would probably be people out there that would produce a shiny car perhaps better than Martin would.
Yeah.
But it ain't Martin's thing. He doesn't like doing it. So why would he do it?
Yeah,
it's a hobby. You're supposed to be enjoying what you're doing, whichever way you do it.
And you can find people just around the corner and down the corridor who can do this sort of thing really, really bloody well. And if you look at people like God Fuel's Motor Garage or whatever his name is, he's terribly good at motor cars, and the people he has on his shows are bloody good at this kind of thing. I can't match that. Can't even get close to it. So it's actually a real pleasure to watch it. You know.
Going on what Zinzan was saying, is the guy who does the A4 garage, who literally buys a Tamiya kit or any of the manufacturer car kit, and he literally he gets everything working on it. The doors open, the bonnet opens, the boot opens. He literally goes to town on it, and that's his way of doing it. And he'll produce a kit that's no one else will do. Yeah. Well, probably not, but to his standards.
That's engineering skills, and
exactly.
I can't understate this. You know, the application of engineering skills to overcome problems, practical problems like that, is something that he can do. He's been doing it for years. But actually, what the internet's really good for, and people sometimes forget this, is you can bloody learn this from people by watching what they do. And if they edit if they edit their videos well, then it's a real education. You can pick up all the tips you want, which is great. Which kind of obviates the need to write on his comments, "Oh, I think you're dull" or whatever. You know, it's you know that's a if all you have is an ad hominem, then I'm afraid you don't have an argument. You never did. You never did have.
No, exactly. Well, as I said, you know.
Oh, go ahead, Mouse.
Go on, Jim.
Okay, no, what I was going to say, you know, when you want to talk about real negativity, is when it comes down to when it gets personal. And what I find hilarious is when certain groups of prominent modelers, and they get on their forums, podcasts, YouTube channels, whatever, and they make open comments derogatory to other types of modelers. Okay, X modeler, well, those guys always talk down about everybody, and then they turn around and they do the exact same thing. And it's just like, have you looked in the mirror? You know, do you not see this correlation? You're doing exactly the same thing you're accusing of this group of doing, you know, and the true angst that it can cause, because it's a natural thing of what we talk about with social media. You know, social media good? Is it bad? Is it indifferent? Does it do more bad than good? I'm kind of in that camp. But it's sad to see when you know groups come out and say, well, you know, those guys look down on everybody, but you know, even harder. And it's just like, and they don't know what they're talking about. And then that what we do or what they do is easy, and they think it's hard. And it's just like, petty can we get here? You know?
So, some of that is the human condition. So if someone says something negative to us, then we're much more likely to dwell on that than if someone says something positive. I think there has been studies done where they say for every negative thing in an interaction between two humans, it needs at least 12 positive things between those two individuals to repair the damage that is done by one negative. It's just our condition. It's who we are as a species. So I think people need to be very careful before they start casting negative aspersions, whether that's be groups of individuals or individuals themselves. Because once that's said, you can't really go back from it, or not without a lot of digging, a lot of ground to make up. So just like my nan used to say, if you've got nothing nice to say nothing at all.
A lot of truth and a lot of those old sayings.
Yeah. I don't always do that.
Is it engage brain before you speak?
Engage brain before opening mouth.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely. But going back to positivity, just trying to like round it off because we've always spoken an hour and 20 minutes on it. I like to think in any group that I'm in when it comes to scale modeling, that when somebody puts up a model and they've not asked for critique, and I've seen and people have commented in a positive, what can I say, in a critical way that's going to help someone, but it's been like a bash. Those comments soon get removed. You know, I've seen that happening a lot in a lot of the groups I'm in on Facebook and even on my Discord. You know, if I see a comment that if the guy hasn't asked for criticism, he's just showing off a model, or you know, and somebody come back and say, "Well, you've done that wrong," you know, and that's it. That comment will get deleted. If they said, "Oh, great job," just to let you know, there's too many bombs under that Jaguar you built, Luke, or whatever. You know what I mean? It's that you know that's
the wrong ones was. I put
the wrong ones. Was it the wrong ones? Yeah, the wrong one.
And the reason I did that is because it looked cool.
It looked cool. You know,
Just like your canopies.
Yeah,
and I,
canopies.
and I think that's a positive. And I think, you know, you should never, if you, you know, there are groups out there, obviously, if you want your model critique, you post it on there. And then, you know, here's some pseudocreme for you for the wounds that you get. But ultimately, you know, if you're gonna, you know, always look at it as the positive. You know, it's like somebody put a kit up the other day, and I can't remember which one it was. I think it was the, I think it was the Ravel Lancaster, and the bloke said, "How'd you get on with it?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, it was all right. You know, it was okay. I found it tricky in places." And then he recommended another kit to him. Well, if you want to do a proper Lancaster, try this one. I think he said it was an Airfix one, because I think the Airfix 172 Lancaster is one of the best ones out there. You know, it's to, if you feel the need to be not negative, but you feel that there's an error or something, be positive in the response. Don't just throw it away and say, "Oh, that's a pile of shit." Be construct. That's the word I'm looking for. Be more constructive. And I think, as a YouTuber, I think that will be my mantra from now on. You know, and I think I am pretty much constructive in my responses when I do reviews or builds. And it's to make, you know, and if you find a way around it, share that thing. And I think that's one of the struggles I have is that I find that if I spend 3 weeks building a kit, editing in it, and then doing a commentary over the top, it gets very few views on it. But those are the videos I like to watch. You know, it's like I was saying to Nigel today, I wish he finished that Titanic that he was doing, because he was rebuilding the arse end. He was doing all the panel, you know, all the ribs at the back. It was such a great, he didn't finish it. But that's the sort of videos I like, of watching people build. So you can, and leave in the bloopers, folks. I'm just saying to YouTubers who do build, if you make a mistake, leave it in, because I guarantee I'm that kind of person who probably end up making that mistake if you made that mistake. And I try to leave them in as well. If I've made an error or something, leave them in, because I think that will help. But again, be more constructive in the way you talk, in the way you behave, in the way you speak, because I think that's the best. Because we all want the best out of all this hobby, and the last thing we want is what Phil Flory said in his video, and Matt as well, that don't put people off the hobby. You know, and also, and then one of the things is, I keep saying this, that every hobby has its core. Okay, whether you're cross stitching, whether you're doing marquetry, you know, there's always. But I do feel that because we are very, very blessed on what we have to build now, we feel that we have the authority to criticize when it's wrong. Whereas I reckon in the 1970s, well, there's proof in the 1950s, Airfix released a Spitfire that was inaccurate, even had the wrong scheme on it, but they sold hundreds of thousands of that BTK Spitfire because it was something to build. And now at that stage where we've got so many Tiger tanks, I think every single Tiger one is accurate to me. I don't know the difference between one Tiger tank and one built in one factory, one built in another, personally. But you know, I think we get to that stage where if we can be more constructive on how we see the hobby, I think that'll be a positive spin on
the time. And I've said it before. A lot of the time, particularly online now, there's a lot of dick swinging. So if you see something online, if you see an image of someone's finished model, and there's something that you know is perhaps less accurate than it should be, or it's the wrong color, or whatever, and you know that, why do you feel the need to make comments on it? But the issue is, there is a lot of people, and it is more concentrated in this hobby than others, definitely.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people that don't have the social awareness and social skills to just scroll on by. They feel like they need to exert some sort of authority over someone else, because actually in the rest of their lives they've probably got zero authority.
Correct.
And they're sat in their mum's spare room in their pants eating a pot noodle. And they feel the need to belittle someone else or someone else's work to make them feel better.
Yeah.
What? And you're never going to stop that. You're never going to stop that in the online space. You're never going to stop it. And like I've said throughout the last hour and a half, would that individual say that if they were stood next to you at a model show? No, they wouldn't. Or they may say it in a very different way.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. They'll probably hide behind their friends when they're walking around. That's what they'll do.
Or put the head down and shuffle past your stand. I've had that before.
You've had that before, Pete? Apparently, Luke, you're insulting the awesomeness of a pot noodle.
I do like a pot noodle, but it's not the staple of my diet.
No. Yeah.
Miles called me going to Greg's earlier.
Oh yeah. Not wrong with a chicken tikka slice.
Oh,
no, yeah. Honesty goes a long way. If it's wrapped in constructive criticism, if you don't like my model, see an error, please be honest. I'll learn nothing from you just telling me it's awesome. I get that, but long as it's constructive, not just pass you off and say, "Oh, that's shit."
If I see a kit at a show, I might say it to myself or whoever I'm with. I might say, "Well, there's something wrong with that," but I wouldn't say it to the person who built it
because you have
yeah, exactly. I don't know that person from Adam. I've never seen him. I mean, if it's a new show to me, I don't know that person at the table, so I wouldn't say anything negative to them.
You don't know what sort of a day that individual's having.
Exactly.
They might be having the worst day ever. The missus might have left them, the dog's been run over, someone's nicked their car. They could be having the worst day ever, and by you commenting on a photograph that's 3 months old on social media going, I think I'll find the tool clamp on that tiger tank. That might push them over the edge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if Jim frequently does say to me, "You're a fucking idiot. That loadout gave me an aneurysm," or whatever. I know Jim, and I've known Jim for a long time, and we trust each other. We trust each other's opinion. So that's a very different thing. Just on the internet or someone you don't know very well or whatever. That can be taken in a very different way. And if you know the tool clamp's wrong, so what? Put the correct tool clamp on your Tiger one and scroll on by. You don't need to comment on it. No one cares what you think.
Yeah, I think that's yeah. But then again, I know that we have this. I think when you know someone and there's a deep rooted respect there, that isn't criticism. That's pure banter, and banter is what makes the world go round.
Certainly, I think certainly in UK society, the way that especially Shoot Me Down in Flames men speak differently to their friends than women do. They just do. It's a thing. The way I speak to my male friends, if anyone overheard that conversation, and likewise the way they speak to me. And sometimes a male friend will call me and I'll be in the kitchen with the missus or whatever, and I'll answer the phone and it'll be on loudspeaker, and she's like, "Wow, your friends speak to you like that?" I'm like, yeah, that's how I know they're my friend. It's just a thing. It's just person.
Exactly. We all have that with people.
But I wouldn't say someone I didn't know very well right now.
A very long time ago, and I discovered this in team sports a very long time ago. We had a situation in our cricket club where we would absolutely rip into each other, and I remember saying to one guy, I was quite young at the time, and I said, "Why are they doing this? Why does this happen this way?" And he looked at me and said, "It's because they like each other." You know?
Yeah.
They do it to you because they like you.
It's the way guys talk to each other.
Yeah, it's because they like you. People take the mickey out of you because they like you.
Yeah,
You get that in any sport. Any players on the pitch will have a go at each other. Well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But at the end of the day, when they get back in the shower or they get back in the club room, they're like, "Yeah, let's have a pint. Let's get on with it."
If you look on the internet and you look on the TV as well, or on some of these chat shows, I can't remember what it's called, but there is a section of one American chat show where you have people sending messages to celebrities, and the celebrities read them out. And there is absolutely nothing funnier than a well-crafted insult.
absolutely.
A roast, isn't it? A proper roast.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
John Reynolds was a master.
I
John will.
I think I can quote Emilio Estevez from the Young Guns film when he says at the end of the film, he's Billy the Kid, isn't he? He says, "I would never steal a horse from somebody I didn't like. I wouldn't even bother with them." You know what I mean? And but no, I having bits of banter and stuff. We have a proper ribbon, and you get it on here as well. And I take it because we trust, and and it's just good to have a bit of a bit of banter in it, and we know we don't really mean it, and I think that's what it's all about, and I agree.
A lot of clubs have that. I bet there's always people in modern clubs that have a go at each other, or they banter with each other because they've known each other for years.
Yeah.
Nigel's come for a roasting, it looks like.
Nigel.
Sorry, guys.
Nigel in the room.
Sorry I'm late. I've been really busy making a video. I'm reviewing an Airfix 148 scale Spitfire.
Oh.
And the sort of the avatar for YouTube, and it's me holding this Spitfire with a hammer on it, and the title is "Another Pile of Shit."
Yeah. Brilliant, Nige. Brilliant. You feed brilliant.
Who's the manufacturer?
What would be funny, Nige? What's that, Simon?
Who's the manufacturer that's doing it?
Airfix. He said Airfix. That's the other thing. It's like, didn't anybody put the video out or get the memo when Qatari announced another Spitfire? Do you know what I mean? Did they not get the memo? Yeah. But then, you see, I could be a little bit negative on that. I made it quite clear on one of the Airfixes and chills that I don't buy the argument that a Spitfire, then you make a Spitfire, you make a Tiger tank, and you use the money, the profits from that Spitfire as guaranteed seller to make another tool in. I don't buy that argument anymore, because I can assure you, with some of the stuff that's been coming out now, they've probably made their money back and more because of the subject matter that they've been doing. It's paying for itself. So, but again, I have heard that a Spitfire sells 3-to-1 of any other airplane kit in this country. Spitfire sell 3-to-1.
It's ironic that there's more Hurricanes in the Battle of Britain than there was Spitfires.
What's that, Nigel?
Like Spitfires.
You went to Sainsbury's tomorrow and asked the general public, if you ask 500 people, name me the most famous aircraft of World War II, they would all say Spitfire.
They would,
yeah. They wouldn't even know what a B-17 or a Heinkel 111 or a C-47.
109.
A P-50. They'll know what a Mustang is, but they won't know that the Mustang was one of the greatest aircraft of World War II.
Yeah. And the Bearcat was the greatest.
Oh, that's 4.
I'll take it to. I'll stand on that hill. The Hurricane is the greatest plane in World War II, but for the Battle of Britain anyway. I'll put the grave on it.
The Hurricane gets. The Hurricane
with you, Moz.
looked, didn't it?
Yeah, I get that. But anyway, Nigel, you did a video about positivity. You seem to think that, you know, you did a video about some of the comments you were getting, but overall, do you see there is a good bit of positivity in the scale model hobby in itself? As in, we've got the best kits we've ever had. There seems to be more releases of kits now than there were in the previous 20 years. There's subject matter that we want to build, and we're not building the same old rehashing. You know, there really isn't a place really of looking at a manufacturer and looking at a negative side of it, I guess.
I was thinking the other day, for any hands-on male that likes to work with his hands and get out in the garage and tinker and get the bench and do this and play with stuff. I mean, electronics, they're cheaper than they've ever been. Tools are cheaper than they've ever been. Welders, grinders, compressors, all this stuff in the garage, it's all cheaper than it's ever been. You know, I remember when I first ventured into, probably 40 years ago, I think I paid about £399 for a shitty little welder that welded anything more than 2 mil steel. You can get welders now at fucking Lidl, for God's sake, you know?
Yeah.
They're not the best, but I've got one of I think, the best budget MIG welders you can buy from Artec in Gloucester, and it's 500 quid. You know, I mean, look at airbrushes. When I was modeling back in the 90s, you had to pay £200 for an airbrush. You can get an airbrush now on Amazon for 12 quid. You can get a half decent Gallery Seeker. I'm being serious, that is a really good airbrush.
Yes.
And it's about £35, I think.
Yeah, the advanced Seeker is even better.
The Seeker is brilliant.
Yes, I agree with you, Nigel.
I've given 2 away, and they love them.
Just quickly, we've had another super chat. Everyone, we've had another super chat. So we added to the draw.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
Thank you very much, Michael. You will be put in the draw. The Eurofighter that I'm giving away tonight. It will be opened because I'm reviewing it before I do it, but everything will be in the box. But you are in the prize draw of that, my friend. Well done. We'll carry on, Nigel. You're saying, you know, talk about that though. Yeah, as you say, you know, I negativity. I can see price of kits going up this year. You know, with what's happening in the world and everything else, and Phil did mention that in his video as well. But the positivity is that when you do buy a kit now, they're not unbuildable, really. You know, anything that's released now, they I think Luke's right. They're at their peak at the moment. I don't think there's a lot more they can do. Where, you know, we were at a stage now where 172 scale in detail is like old-fashioned 148, and 148, the detail in a 148 kit now is up there with a 132nd, and then a 132nd is 24. You know what I mean? The detailing kits now, they've almost got the tooling pretty much bang on. And don't get me wrong, if you can't afford to buy new kits, there's plenty of places where you can buy secondhand kits or pre-owned kits. Just go to your local model show and look under the tables, mate. You know what I mean? There's some bargains out there if you want to.
I think something you have to remember with model kits is, you know, Dragon have always been the first to make a big fuss out of slide molding. We've got slide molding. They put it over the side of their boxes, didn't they, on the CAD images and that, on the backs of the boxes as well. One of the best kit manufacturers in the world, many people will say, is Wingnut Wings. Wingnut Wings never used slide molding. Wingnut Wings had hardly any photo etch in them. None of their kits had resin other than the figures. So all of this stuff that's coming out now with all this PE, slide molding, 3D printed, you don't need it to be considered the best in the world. you know.
Mm.
And it's the same now with Qatari. I don't think they use slide molding.
I don't think they do.
I don't
Or
think
do they?
They might do. I mean, I've never built one. Zinzan will probably know. That Spitfire Mark one with the raised rivets may well have slide molding around the back of the fuselage. No, because they used a separate spine, didn't they, to go on?
Yeah, they had a separate spine panel for it.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can get the detail without it, but it depends on how they decide to engineer it, I suppose, isn't it, Nigel?
And the other thing is with Wingnut Wings, I know Richard, not personally, but we email each other, and he's the fussiest bugger in the world. You know, whereas people will accept the first test shots, you know, which kit? I think it was the Fokker D7 was 5 times they had to retool that kit before he was happy.
Really?
I'm sure it was the Fokker D7. It might have been the Sopwith Camel. It was one of the more common kits. 5 times he made them retool it before he signed it off.
Fair to say he thought it was a bit of a Fokker.
Yes.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. Fokker.
Fokker indeed.
But positivity wise, you know, we've got the best decals we've ever needed. We have so much photo etch resin. You know, aftermarket wise, we've got really good masking tapes. You know, you can, you know, every paint range you could, you know, and even if the paint range doesn't, you know, there's a color that they haven't got, there's another paint range that will have the color that you need. And we've got over the argument of what does cockpit green, and you know what that really means. And you know, you know, if it's something that you know, there's always something else in this hobby to be positive about. Definitely.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be positive about. But I do have to disagree that there's not much more else they can do. I think we haven't seen half of what's coming.
No.
But I'm talking about. I'm talking about plastic. What else could they do?
Edward not just released their hybrid kits?
Yeah, but I had a chat with somebody who's building one, and he said that it's they're saying that you can glue, you know, the cement works on the resin parts, and that's not true. Where they're manufactured, where you join them up to, the plastic reacts.
Yeah, regardless.
Yeah.
So Edward are renowned for producing good quality kits. They're known for it. They're now going a step further and releasing hybrid kits. So how do we know in 10 years' time, a decade from today, what manufacturers are going to be doing? You know, injection molding technology will continue to get better as it's done over the last few decades. It will continue to get better, and so on and so on. So I don't think we've seen, I certainly don't think we're at the end and they can't do anything more than they're already doing. I think there's a lot more to come as technology improves and manufacturing processes improve. I think it would just go on and on and on, as long as there is a viable market for these manufacturers to make a profit. And if that market continues to be viable, they will continue to push the boundaries on what's possible.
That's interesting. I don't know. I was talking about from a plastic side of things. I don't know what more they could do with plastic.
Yeah, today. How do we know in 10, 15 years' time how good injection molding technology is going to be? We don't do it.
I think if you look at the way the market's going, you've got people like Gecko. I'm not going to lift the box up because I can. Yeah, like this thing here, $29.99, absolutely crammed with detail, photo etch and all that. absolutely brilliant. Some of the best molding I've ever seen. And it's too difficult for a lot of modelers because it's very, very fine. And there's, like 10 parts where there could be one. So that's where Luke's side is coming. The technology is getting better, but people are saying, I don't want it. Then you've got the other side, like Italeri and Heller, who aren't really moving forward. They're just
they're kind of staying where they are,
because they were in the 90s.
Yeah,
in some cases even worse. You know,
but they've still got their market, haven't they? Because you're absolutely right, Nigel. A lot of people will go, well, I'm not going to buy that Gecko Matilda because it's too good, and I can't do it. There's too much detail. I don't want to learn how to use photo etch and bend photo etch and all that stuff. So I'm going to buy the Tamiya Matilda that was released 20 years ago because there's no photo etch in it.
The trouble is that's the only injection molded Matilda 1 out there. Matilda 1.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, but what I'm saying, regardless of the subject, people won't buy a kit or build a kit that's got lots of photo etch in it.
No.
Because he doesn't like photo etch.
No.
So it's about the market. But I think we cannot say that what's available today is as good as it's going to get. Because I think it will always get better. It's just whether the market is willing to embrace that new technology and perhaps buy the Matilda 1 from Gecko and learn how to use the technology that they've needed. Or are people happy building stuff that was tooled in the 70s because it's comfortable? You know, it's a comfort thing. They're comfortable putting that together. They're comfortable sanding the seam lines. They're comfortable. There's a place for everyone, I think. But I think there's a lot more to come.
What I'm saying is you're right. Things are going to get better and better and better. But as they get better and better and better, they get more complicated.
Yeah.
It's like cars. Compare my GR Yaris to my Fiat 131. I could jump in my GR Yaris on a minus 18 winter's day, start it and drive it. Jump in my Fiat 131 on a 18 degrees, autumn afternoon or spring afternoon. And I've got to sit there for 5 minutes and let it warm up because with the automatic choke, it's as flat as a witch's tit. And technology's got better. And the thing is, people don't want the complexity of modern kits, which I think where Airfix fits beautifully, because Airfix are a perfect example of moving the game forward and not making anything any more complex. The Airfix Gannet is much more complex than that hovercraft.
Yeah, but some people do.
No, I'm not a fanboy.
Do you know what I mean? Some people don't want that. Some people do.
Yeah.
And as long as there's a viable market, the manufacturers will continue to advance.
Yes.
Yeah, and
like high power counts. I love them.
So what drives the market? It's actually the customer that drives the market. They are the ones effectively who demand the detail. The balance to be drawn is between Gecko, perhaps in one sense. In the red corner, we have Gecko with tiny parts and photo etch and lots of complexity. And then in the blue corner, we have Airfix with great detail, not so many parts, not so complex, but still satisfying to do. Which way do you want to go as a manufacturer? How do you want to do it? Do you want to, which one do you want to do? But the trajectory is upwards. More detail, more realism, and that plays right into the hands of probably everybody watching this, I would suggest, and certainly does me, because I want to make what I do more realistic. And that's the important thing. We're not so very far away from each other on this one, I would have to say.
Yeah.
All I'm gonna say is that I am somebody who needs to build I like to build my kits all within 2 or 3 weeks, then move on to the next one. That's the kind of build I am. I don't want to get But be honest with me, Nige, with all that photo etch that was in that Matilda for the gecko, and I've looked at it, I just want to hear your thoughts on this. For instance, where you've got one sheet you've had to fold up and you've had to add 8 individual sections in. Would it have been better just to have molded that in plastic?
What I would like to see, as I've said this before, is what RFM have done now. And they give you the option of either using the photo etch or you have a plastic part. Where I'm not going to show you because I'm ready to put another video out. I've now painted the interior of that Matilda. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, it's gorgeous. Absolutely. I haven't even washed it yet. When I wash it, it's just going to go boom. You know, the detail is going to pop. But there's bits like you've got a radio electronic box. I don't know. It's something that goes on the sideboard of the tank. And you have to fold up a photo etch box that has no fold lines in it. It doesn't fit. And I think, why didn't they just mold the frame onto the radio?
Yeah.
Because the radio fits in there and you got like this sort of 0.2 thick frame around. They could have just molded an edge around the radio. Because it's sitting inside the tank and you're looking at it through a 20mm diameter hole. You know, it's like...
But your answer to that question that you ask is actually embodied in the way you said those 4 words.
Yeah.
That's your answer every day. That's your answer, you know. And it's also your reward for making that effort, filling up your own swear box with all of those pennies that you must have inevitably used when folding up the bits and pieces.
I don't have a swear box.
Do you not? All right.
I don't have. I couldn't afford it.
Right, just before we finish, I just want to we've got one more question to answer, which I thought was quite a good question, but I just want to do this now. We're going to reveal who wins the kit tonight. We've had 3 super chats in. That'll be just an easy way of getting rid of some of these kits that that I reviewed, and give people opportunity of winning. So I'm going to tap to reveal. I didn't ask for that. Stephen Haynes, you've won the model kit. Thank you so much for taking part. I'll do it £2 next week. I'll make it a bit more easier on people. So if you want to win a kit next time, it's just to add a bit of something to the show. So Stephen Haynes, again, just email me with your address and I'll send out this kit. It will be opened because obviously I've reviewed it. So please give me your address. Email it to me. It's in the About section of my channel. I think you've got it anyway. So congratulations there on winning the Eurofighter Typhoon and short Tucano. Brand new. Came last week, I think it did. They also sent me another. They're using the Typhoon quite a bit because they put the Hawker Typhoon, the Moggy, and the FG4 Moggy and the Hawker Typhoon Mark 1B as well in the same pack. So you've got 2 to play with there. You've got the original Eurofighter and the Hawker. So yeah, brilliant. There you are. So I might do that one next week. So congratulations, Stephen.
Are you sending both of those, Stephen? Are you sending both of those kits?
That's the next thing. He's won the Blackjack and the Sports Tucano. And next week I'll probably give this one away. I think they're about 30 quid, aren't they? 35 quid? I can't remember now. I have to look at my receipt. Because when they send you it, they don't put the prices on the receipts, do they? The invoices. You just get a packing slip. But I'll have to find out how much I paid for them. So, yeah. So I thought, there you are. So congratulations for that. And thank you for becoming a super chatter. So one last question. Do you think some of the reluctance to move away from the more traditionally manufactured kits is because of nostalgia or a bit of Ludditism? And I'm going to just say, I just personally, I'm plastic. I've been plastic for years. If I wanted other mediums, I would collect Corgi. You know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. I just I don't like using super glue. I just don't think we have an adhesive or a cement that will do resin and photo etch. You know, like I said, with photo etch, to be honest with you, the gold standard for photo etch is the soldering, isn't it?
Yeah.
To be honest, it's the.
We try to
I
monitor
don't want
it.
to get involved. Yeah, I don't want to get involved with soldering. And I think photo etch. I'm hoping that with 3D resin, photo etch will disappear. I really do hope.
Oh,
That's
I
my
pray.
hope.
I hope it
Yeah.
doesn't. As I
You
said
love
last
photo
week, there's certain points where photo etch is the only option. Like
Yeah.
an armor shield around a 35th scale 50 cal. There is no other option for photo etch.
So
But I
bar
don't see
armor-
why. I don't see why you need to photo etch a box and make us fold a box up. It's the worst thing in the world, right?
Oh, no.
All right, Jim. Come on, Jim. Carry on.
Who woke him up?
Come on, Jim.
So, here's the beauty of it. I mean, there's pros and cons with everything. If it's not your jam, it's not your jam. I get that. But with photo etch, you can build and armor and tanks, big old boxes on the back of Panthers, right? And you can bash them in and ding them and make it a very unique pattern of dent that you've done, that you can damage fenders, all this kind of stuff that you can do with photo etch on an armor build that you can in 3D printing, but then they all look alike. Okay, because everybody has the exact same dented can that they bought from XYZ manufacturer. Okay, you have a chance to have a door hanging off of one hinge with battle damage and a hole through it and indented to hell that adds, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, visual interest. I hate that. But anyway, it does add something that gives you the ability to do something extra if you want to your model. Okay, bar armor. You can buy bar armor for LAVs, for strikers, for whatever. Okay, but and a lot of people will do that. You're just not going to get the finesse and refinement of a photo etch set that when you painstakingly put all that bar armor together, that you can then thus bend however you want to make it for damage or whatever. So that's why I there's no absolutes in this hobby. I mean photo etch has a place. I do it. I don't think it'll ever be.
It's a bit like on the back of a multitude of tanks, you've got grills over the cooling vents.
Yeah.
The engine. You know, you could 3D print that, but it just break. And as soon as you touch it,
like if you want to, you get the grill, the pie-looking grill on top of whatever German tank. Okay, and there's some modelers that will indent that like it's been stepped on.
Because they used to stand on it.
Right, and that's going to be. Yeah, and maybe they only want to. This is six pies, right, or 6 slices of pie, pizza pie, or whatever, and they want to indent 1 or 2 of them, or maybe all of them, or whatever. If you 3D print one and call it good, unless you do a whole series of different prints, just to get away from there, gluing that little piece on and then carefully denting it, you're done. So there's pluses and minuses.
I get that.
If you want to put time into it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't.
I agree with Moss in that respect, because there are some kits out there, old RFM, Gecko, they're putting PE where they just don't need to. It's ridiculous. You don't need to.
I think, Nigel, we've had this discussion privately on a telephone call. I was talking to you about Thunder models. And I said, I think the piss take is that instead of redoing a tooling to make a mark, they'll add in a different photo etch set, and clearly, like I said on that tractor, to get that bend for that wing, it's not, unless you have the right tools, I don't think you could do it. I know people say, oh, scratch builder, or you're a modeler and assembler. I get all that. But no, if you want to do it really nice, and I haven't got the time or the patience to bend that wing out, but then they release the kit again with a different set of photos. It's like a cheap way of changing certain parts is by just chucking a different set of photo etch parts into it, and I don't think that's right either.
I show you how to do those fenders in about 3 minutes, and all you need is a pencil or a modeling knife, a round modeling knife, and a sponge. Just roll it, And if you don't like it, flatten it and start again. It's it's not.
Well, Luke's. Yeah, go on, Jim.
So it's better than anything you're gonna get with plastic.
Right.
And like Jim said, if you want to bent it, ding it, you can do that, and you can't.
Put me on big screen real quick before we go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but wait, there's more. Okay. Just get that. Now, could you print that in 3D? Sure, you could print that in 3D, but good luck getting it off the support sprues.
Exactly.
You
can just use the support screw.
So is this a pain in the ass? Hell yeah. But it's going to look better in the end than an injected molded plastic piece. And will it look as good as a 3D print? Yeah, if you can get it off the supports without breaking all these little doodads. I mean, come on. You can print that in 3D, but how are you going to support it and get it off the tree?
Yeah. You're exactly right, Jim. You can. But for me, if you've made that. Anyone can cut something out of a 3D print frame and stick it on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, if you look at Pontos guns for a 200 scale York tank, you've got to make like 54 Oerlikon cannons with the shields around them and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or you can use 3D printing ones where you just take them off and glue them on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what
You're smiling there, Luke.
So
You're smiling there, Luke. You're smiling there, Luke. You've got a spin on this, haven't you?
No, it's not a spin. I just have a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
Because regardless, I think Jim's absolutely right. That particular thing, that mast, etc., it would be almost impossible. You could print it, but it would be almost impossible with the current technology to be able to remove the supports, etc., to get it. It is. However, I disagree with if you've constructed something out of photo etch, then you've made it rather than you've just cut a 3D print away from the supports. You've still made it. If it's done well.
No, you haven't.
If it's you have.
You've cut a piece of resin off a fret and glued it on your model. You haven't made it.
Yeah, you have. You cut a bit of PE off a fret and glued it together. You still made it.
Well, okay, so wait. Here's the difference. Okay, so in PE, you get, hold on a second here. Okay, so, God, I don't, anyway, so you get certain sections here, okay? And you have to cut it out. Oh, okay, there we go. So like there's one of the main yard arms or whatever the hell it is, okay? Now that piece has to be folded in half, and then all the sides have to be folded, and then you have to sand it, you have to file it, all the nubs off, you have to fill the gaps where there are gaps. Okay. Yeah. After you've done all that, then you got to clean it, then you got to put all the supports on. That's physically doing things to the part. Whereas in 3D, all you're doing is you're cutting the part off the supports, fingers crossed, and then you paint it and then you put it on the model.
No.
There's assembling. That's assembling. You don't assemble.
Yeah, but maybe that's your experience of 3D printed parts.
Pardon?
Maybe that's your experience of 3D printed parts. If you're constructing something that is 3D printed, you are still making it. You are still cutting it off the sprue or the fret. You are still sanding the nugs. You are still doing cleanup. You are still doing all the things, perhaps with the exception of folding the photo etch because you can't fold 3D printed resin. But everything else you are still doing.
I think you're both right.
It's a fine line, but what I would say is there's an extra step, and that extra step can be important. Okay, if you care, and what was it, a 700 scale? Nige, you may have seen this. There was a 700, some nut job over in Japan. He drew a 700 scale cruiser, heavy cruiser, Taiho, the whole flipping front superstructure. Yes. And every deck was in place, the masts were in place, the guns were in place. Everything was done. All you had to do was remove it from the sprue and paint it and put it on the model, and you were done.
Okay, but that's one example.
That is just, you're right. Your traction engine, that's going to come in separate assemblies. And yes, you have to take all that apart, and you have to sand, and you have to physically put parts together. But I'm saying in this example, and this example only, is if you take this mast and you 3D print it, every detail is already in place, it's already done, and all you have to do is snip it off and paint it. Is different than taking all the photo etch and combining it with kit plastic and doing
absolutely. I agree. However, I think my difference of opinion comes when people say, well, you haven't made it. Well, I have. I've done exactly the same, whether it be a 3D printed part or whether it be a photo etch part or a styrene part. I've done exactly the same.
Would you say you've done exactly the same if you took that one example of the 700 scale where everything has been built and done in CAD and printed, and you take it off the support? See, where I would disagree is that's taking it off the supports, painting it, putting on the model, as opposed to 5 or 6 different steps in the kit and then adding 12 different steps
in that particular example. Construction and painting is construction and painting, whether it be styrene, photo etch, resin, PLA, whatever. It's construction and painting.
Right, but simply taking a part off a tree is not construction.
Well, it is if you've got to stick the parts together.
That's
no different. That's no different taking plastic parts off.
I just want to give Luke a comparison. You're building a 1/48 English Electric Lightning.
Yeah.
Right. You've gone and bought a 3D printed seat for it.
Mm-hmm.
And you cut it off the fret, and you paint it, and you stick it in. Mm-hmm. You've done absolutely nothing other than cut it off and paint it.
In that example.
So you're still modeling, but you haven't created that seat. You've painted it.
Yes, whereas, you could argue that, Nige.
Please let me finish. Please let me finish, Luke. Or you could buy an Edwards set for that cockpit and add all the photo etch to the seat. Yeah. Add the cables and everything for the ejection mechanism. Buy a HGW harness, assemble it, add that to the seat, paint everything, and then fit it to your cockpit.
Yeah.
Which one has had more involvement for you?
In that example, the Edwards set.
Exactly, and that's what we're talking about. That's what Jim's talking about.
Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
So your Sue kit that you're building, what cockpit decals are you using?
I'm using Kunta Studio.
Why? Because they're better.
Yeah, but I'm still making it, but I'm not. All I'm doing is sticking a decal onto the instrument panel. I'm not painting.
That's no different to someone putting a standard decal in a cockpit.
No, it's not. But I'm doing it because it looks better.
Yeah, that's what. It's still construction.
But I'm not buying resin seats that come with molded on harnesses. I'm using the.
They have made it. They have made it.
Anyway,
yeah.
This is negative. I don't like it.
We'll continue this conversation next week, folks. It's great. It's great. But I've really got to go because I've got to put my chickens away. So, but anyway, again, we'll continue this next week. Yeah, play with a cock. There you go, banter. Again, thanks everyone for joining us tonight. We've overrun by 12 minutes, but hey, it's been fun. Thanks to Luke, Simon, Barry, Jim, Zinzan, Brett, John, and Nigel for joining me tonight. We're back next week for another Airfix and Chill. Maybe we'll continue this debate then. So we'll leave it on a cliffhanger. Anyway, take care all. Have a great rest of your week. See you next week.